thought I'd spend a couple of hours trying to figure out how I'm going to do the brakes on this. So strip this down, strip the hub down, check the bearings. The bearings seem pretty fine, to be fair. I could re-grease them, repack them in, and then away I go, but I just might see if I can find any newer ones. Need a seal on there as well. So my plan is I want to try and use like a common discs on the front and the back, because what I don't want is basically be somewhere miles away from home, and if a disc cracks or something, I don't want to be like, oh fucking hell, I need to go and find a 1978 disc for a Datsun in the fucking middle of nowhere. So I can use a common disc and then just lightly adapt it, make it fit. It's more practical, usable, and parts are a lot cheaper and easier to get. So this is a standard disc off the front, solid. This one is off a BMW E30 325i, vented. Now, I just did a quick measure for reference. I do want bigger discs, so this was just basically like faffing about. I noticed that these holes here are the same as them, but these are slightly bigger. So I could basically just bore out the centre. Don't know if the camera will pick that up, but there's quite a lot of material that I need to take off that in order to get it to fit. But it shouldn't weaken it, to be fair, and I'll get it done properly. I'll get it machined down on a lathe. So that's my plan for the discs, and they're not a million miles out of height. So basically all that I'll do is it'll just bring it closer and towards the centre of the hub. But like I say, that's just a reference disc. It's an old disc I've got. I do want bigger. And then with the calipers as well, I want to get 4 pots on the front. So I want to use like a standard pattern braided flexi, and then I can just make a solid copper pipe that goes to that. These are the original twin pot calipers on the front. Now what I do like about these is, same with 4 pots as well, there's no carriers or sliders. So basically where you bolt that up, it's fixed. Your pistons go in and out, pinch your disc, blah blah blah. Whereas if I went with like a standard piston caliper, I'd need to make the brackets, the carrier bracket, and then make sure all the sliding mechanism works and everything. Could go down that route, but it's a little bit more hassle for me. So I think I'll just rather get, again, a standard pattern caliper, Brembo's or something along them lines. Make one bracket, one carrier bracket for that. Get it nice and even, both sides, front and back. And then what I'll do on the rear is have the handbrake inboard. So you got like a drum and a disc together. If you know, BMW's very common. In fact, a lot of cars are pretty common to do it like this now. So you still have these kind of shoes in the rear. That just works on the handbrake and handbrake only. And then you'll have your caliper. So again, I need to strip all this down. I did try it tonight, but that's pretty fucking well and truly seized in there. So when you strip this down, get this backing plate off. I've got a couple of discs in my friend's unit that are all scrap off various different BMWs. Again, if I can get them fit, nice common disc, lightly modify it, and then hopefully go from there. Just been get these from my friend's unit. 1 disc, 2 disc. Did a little bit of research, and basically the big brake kits for the Datsun are about 300 and 295. So this is a rear one. That's coming up about 295, 294, something like that. And then front, 300. These are off a E46 compact 325 Ti. So front and back, this has got like a bit of a drum built into it. So my handbrake will work in there. Hopefully this is the plan anyway. And then just got to figure out what I can do here. Either re-drill these or I don't know. So that's a front one. That's a no. This is the standard one here. So I'll probably have to bore the centre of that out maybe. Like I say, it's a very early stages yet, it's just trial and error. So, oh, would you look at that? That's not a million miles off. Yeah, this may have been a pretty good guess to be fair. Oh, exciting times. The only question I've got is the height difference. Now I've got a little bit of tolerance, I've got a little bit of play. So they are, oh, I don't know, let me tape. So say 51, 52, 45. Yeah, that'll be alright. Maybe I'm alright. I've got the disc mounted up to the hub now. That's all nice. It's still rough, but it's on, so I'm just seeing what clearance is like on the stub axle and the strut itself. Everything was kind of going okay, but then I noticed it fouls on where your caliper's gonna mount to the actual strut. So what I'm gonna do is have a quick measure up, see if I can get away with just shaving a fraction off that face there, because the mounting face is this side anyway. So as long as I've got a good few threads on there, I can sacrifice losing a bit off that back edge. That one there is still clearing, but I don't know whether I take a bit more off here, it'll bring it closer to there. So a bit more measuring, cutting, trial and error. Check this out for a bit of guesswork, right? R32 Skyline 4-pot calipers, BMW E46 325 front brake disc. As far as guesswork goes, it's about 40, 50 mil. Yeah. How's that for guesswork? I need to take out a tiny bit of material so I can get these discs fit over nice. I think it's something like 1 mil or 1.5 mil, so I don't have to grind the centre out the disc. I'd rather just take a fraction off the back of the hub so it slides over. That's pretty nice and straightforward. This is the rear drum on the Datsun. I have now converted it to disc. Well, so converted it to disc. I've actually got the disc off the E46 Compact, re-drilled it, and then gone from there really, and it fits quite nicely. So I've got clearance all the way around. On the rear as well, it kind of sits just nice. So I'm going to get the backing plate, I'm going to get an official backing plate, modify that so I can have all my inboard handbrake in there as well. And then hopefully I can make a little adapter so I can still run the original cables for the handbrake. Well, that's pretty good. So once I've done that, I can figure out how I'm going to mount the calipers, whether I make a big thick bracket which bolts onto these two here, and then have it top mounted or side mounted, whichever way I don't know until I get the caliper. But I'm glad I've got the desk sorted. I can sort of fathom out how I'm going to get all the inboard shoes working and all that. That'll be the next task. Pretty cool really. I'm doing a little bit more work on the rear caliper conversion on the Nissan. Made a little template if it goes something like that, which will then house the Subaru caliper. And then I sent the template off to my friend who made a rough 10mm steel template for me. So then I've drilled the holes to the caliper, and now I'm just in the middle of getting it offered all up nice. It'll go there, something like that. So because the internal diameter on the rear brake disc is slightly bigger than the external diameter on the rear stub axle, I had to call on my friend Sam to basically make me some spigot rings up on his lathe. Here's his Instagram account. Go check him out. He builds some really cool stuff. These are basically heated up and then dropped over the rear stub axle. Just keeps everything nice and lined, so the brake disc sits nicely on them, so there's no unnecessary strain on the wheel bolts themselves. I couldn't be happier. He basically did it for me really quick, and it just fits really nice. Pretty nice and easy really. Measure 45mm, choppy, and then push it down, push that little sleeve down, weldy. 2 rear ones are cut, I need to clean them up, tack them on. I've done the front left, I'm just doing the front right. These are all nice and cleaned up now, ready for welding. Nice little notch in there. Ooh, yeah. So that's all clean. Weldy. Just remember I haven't got any fucking welding gas, so that's a bit of a shame. I'll have to get some next week. Oh. Yay. Turns out I completely forgot, I have got a tiny little bit of gas left in this one bottle. And it was actually my pure argon which is out. So that's a bit of a bonus. So I've done them 3. On the last one now. Got a bit of the old chassis black on there. Yeah. press, and I've pressed it out the actual bearing and the assembly itself. On here, it mushroomed the head ever so slightly. I didn't fucking realise till I couldn't put it back together, so that was a bit of a panic because these seem to be a bit fucking rare. So anyway, I did a little bit of research and then I found out it's just actually, don't know if you can see that, M20 1.5 thread. So I've just cleaned that up there. You can see how much of it's fucked on the top there. The nut itself is fucked, but that's not the end of the world because I'm going to get a couple of new nuts anyway, just be on the safe side. So, a bit of a panic, and then I think it was like 20 quid for a tap and a die. I've just ran that die down the threads, just chased the threads out, and it's bloody lovely. So that's a little bit of a crisis over. For years and years, I've always struggled doing wheel bearings on a press or anything like that. But I borrowed this kit off a mate of mine, and my fucking god, it is the easiest thing ever. It looks a bit complicated and a lot of jiggery and guesswork, but that bearing literally off. It's taken me like 10 minutes. 10 minutes to a bearing. The good news is I have rebuilt the hubs, all new bearings, seals and new nuts. I need to find out what torque setting that stub axle nut is. I'll do that tonight, torque them up. So because this was difficult to torque up, what I actually ended up doing was taking that whole assembly to work and putting it in the tyre fitting machine. So the machine gripped the face of the wheel, and then I used that to basically hold it down whilst I torqued it up, and it worked pretty well. So hopefully that's the braking system sorted. I just need to make a few brake lines up, but that won't take me too long. The hubs have all new bearings in, and the suspension briefly touched on. Next time I take a look at getting the front and rear subframes back on with new control arms, fuel tank, steering with new track rod and tyre rods, and the dummy engine back in so I can start making my wiring loop for the standalone ECU. It's all pretty boring, to be honest with you. It's fucking boring, but thanks for watching, like and subscribe.